Hey everyone, welcome back to the Soil Sanctuary. Justin here again, and today I wanted to show you what we're getting started for our garden. So we have peppers, eggplants, and celery that we're going to be getting started in the garden, or in our seed trays here to be planted into the garden. And so we're going to start off with our peppers, and we have 7 varieties that we're definitely going to plant, possibly 8, and we'll get into that shortly. So first off, we're going to start with our bell peppers, and we have 3 varieties here from Johnny's Seeds. And the first one up, I'll bring this into focus here, is our Yankee Bell. So this is our red ripening pepper, and they're juicy, they're sweet, they're delicious, and the plants were prolific, so we're going to be planting those again this year. Second, we have our SVPB 8415. So that's a yellow ripening bell pepper. Excellent choice to have for your bell peppers. They did really well for us last year, so we're hoping to get another good harvest with them this year. And then lastly, for the bell peppers, we have our SVPB 8500, which is an orange ripening bell pepper. And all of these peppers last year did really well for us. The only downside is that I didn't plant enough. So we had about maybe 2 or 3 of each one, and I found that it just wasn't quite enough. They did provide a good amount of fruit on each plant, but this year we want to get even more, so we're going to be planting a few more of each variety. And then we also have a few sweet pepper varieties here. First up is our classic Jimmy Nardello, and you can find these at the nursery. They look like a cayenne pepper. They're long, they're thin, they're red, and they're thin fleshed, but they're really, really sweet. And again, same issue here, I just did not plant enough of them. My mom was stealing a lot of these from us, but they were delicious, and we will definitely be planting more of these. So if you can get some Jimmy Nardellos in your garden, I highly recommend it. And then this is a new variety from Johnny's Seeds this year. It's called the Cornitos Pepper Mix. So it's a mix of red, yellow, and orange sweet peppers. They are about 5 inches in length. They're a smaller version of their Corno di Toro peppers, which I have never grown, but they look like an elongated bell pepper. They look delicious. They're excellent for roasting or sauteing. So we're gonna give them a try, and hopefully they're gonna do great. And then lastly, for our peppers, we have classic hot peppers. We have our jalapenos here from Hudson Valley Seed. I grew these last year. They did really well, and I love pickling these. I'm not really a fan of eating them raw, but occasionally we'll put them in some of our curries or some of our meals. But they're really delicious when they're pickled and added to salads or things like that fresh. And then lastly, here is a free seed that we got last year from Baker Creek, and it's the dot-till pepper. So you might be familiar with this. There is a dot-till hot sauce. It's a mix of dot-till peppers, tomato paste, garlic, paprika, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, and honey. Maybe some other things too. But it was delicious. I actually made some because I grew 4 of these plants, and I was overwhelmed with these hot peppers, and they're extremely hot. And I really don't care for hot peppers that much. So I figured with all these peppers, I might as well try to do something with it. And I made a hot sauce, and it was good. But it's not something that I really want or really need in my garden. So if anything, I might just plant 1 dot-till pepper just for fun. All right, so that's it for our peppers this year. Now we'll move on to our eggplants, and we'll show you what we got here. We have 4 different varieties of eggplants. The first 3 are our Italian eggplants, and then we have 1 Asian variety. So we'll start with the Italian, and the first one on our list here is the Traviata. And this is from Johnny's Seeds, and it's your classic black Italian eggplant. Delicious, it was big, it was juicy, it was tender. Really great eggplant to have in your garden. Next up, our second favorite one, from Baker Creek was the Antigua. As you can see here in the picture, beautiful, dark, deep purple with white streaks. It's really just a beautiful eggplant to have in your garden, and highly recommend it just because of its pure beauty when you see it in the garden contrasting against the green lush background. So my girlfriend made some eggplant rollatinis last year. She used the Antigua and the Traviata, and that was probably my favorite dish that she cooked from the garden all last year. She made it with a cashew regatta cheese and marinara sauce, and it was excellent. So if you're staying in tune with this channel, hopefully we'll see some cooking from her in the future. So that's second on our list, the Antigua. And then last, for the Italian variety, is another one from Johnny's, and it's called the Artusa. And this one is a white fleshed or white skinned eggplant. Not our favorites of the three, but still delicious. The reason I grew it was because it's unique. It's white and you can't find them easily in supermarkets. You can find them at farmers markets and things like that, but the skin tends to be delicate and doesn't hold up too well in transportation, so you can only really find them local. So it was fun to grow it in the garden, and we're gonna try it again this year. Maybe just we'll grow a little bit less of these and more of the other ones. But it's still nice to have that contrast of the white and the purple and the black and all these colors mixed together. It makes a really nice, beautiful picture of eggplants. All right, and lastly for our eggplants, we have our Asian variety, which is the Ping Tung eggplant. This is your classic emoji eggplant, long, thin, purple skinned eggplant. And these are great for stir frying and just another great addition to have in your garden for your eggplants. All right, and lastly for what we're starting today is our celery. And this is the Utah celery. And celery for me was something that I was a little bit intimidated to grow because in the years before, I've had some struggles, had some issues, and the seeds are so small. So when you plant them, you just kind of put them right on the surface and you keep them moist, preferably with a mister if you have one. And when they do sprout, you have to continually keep them moist because since they're so small, they'll dry out extremely quickly. And if you don't catch it quick enough, the seedlings will quickly die off. So if you do grow celery, make sure that you're keeping them nice and watered. We grew about 20 plants last year, and I grew 4 per square foot. So I had 5 square feet of celery. They did great. They got to full-size maturity. They were sweet. They weren't bitter. And they lasted through most of the season. And towards the end of the season, they did get a little bit dry and a little bit hard, but they did not get bitter. So they provided us with enough celery to harvest throughout the season. And so we're gonna be trying to give those a try again. And then that's it for what we're growing today. We do have a couple bonuses or additional plants that we're gonna be getting started very soon, which will be our parsley, our Asian greens, so mustard greens, arugula, tatsoi, Yucchina Savoy. We have a lot of these mustard and Asian greens that are cold hardy that can get planted soon. Even things like kale, cauliflower will be next, broccoli, cabbage, and lettuce. So we have some more things coming in the future, so stay tuned. But for today, we're just gonna start with these, and we're just gonna go through it. We're gonna get our seed trays filled with our soil. We'll plant the seeds, we'll cover it with our humidity dome or our saran wrap plastic, get them under the grow lights on a heat mat, and wait for them to germinate. And we're looking forward to getting them planted in the garden and to show you guys that process. All right, so we're gonna go ahead now and just water in our seeds that we planted. And we're gonna be really careful, especially with our celery, because the seeds are just, again, so small. And we basically just surface sowed them and covered them with just a tiny little sprinkling of soil. So that way that they still get some light to help germinate. The rest of them are buried about a quarter of an inch. So we can use our watering can here. But last year we had a little bit more of an effective method where we used just an old plastic water bottle, and we drilled tiny holes in the top of the cap, and then you fill the water bottle with water, and when you flip it over, you get a nice gentle trickle of water to come out to water these seedlings. So unfortunately, I don't have a water bottle on hand to do that right now, but I'm going to use my watering can, and we'll just be as careful as we can with that. All right, so that's it for today's video. Thanks again for being here and joining along. We're gonna get those seeds on heat mats and with humidity domes to get them covered up so that they get germinated quickly and right on time for spring. So next up, we'll get our lettuce planted, some of our cold hardy crops, all these fun, flavorful greens that we can get early in the spring. So that's gonna be next. I'll also make a little video on the water bottle so you guys can see what I use to water these trays instead of this big red can. Actually, it's pretty small, but that'll be next on the list. So again, thanks for being here. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we hope to see you on the next one. We'll see you then.